again. It's your coach Rick from Mind Shifting Academy, where a new mindset gets you new results. Today, we're on the road and we're heading to Vermont. The title of this video blog is You Are Neo, although you might not realize it. Stay tuned to find out what that enigmatic title means and how this can help you on your journey to a fulfilling life. Stay tuned. You are Neo too, although you might not realize it. We'll get into what that means and how it can help you. So I'm on the road right now. I am heading west on the Massachusetts Turnpike. And if you can see behind me, these cars are just creeping along. It's a snail's pace here. Not sure why. I've got a long ride to find that out. So before I get into today's video blog topic, one thing that has been on my mind, and because it's very personal to me, but I think it's a good reminder for all of you, is that your health, your physical health, your mental health, or the ability of your brain to actually work, it's up there in terms of value and priority in your life. Now, time is probably your most precious asset, but if you don't have your health, or something's wrong in your brain, it's not working right, it's kind of all you can think about, and it's all you can hope for. It's the number one thought in your mind around the clock. And I say that, I just want to remind people that when your body's working, when your brain's working, and this actually ties into the video, you're essentially unstoppable. You don't know it, but you have literally the power of the universe at your fingertips, and the ability to create the life that you want. And you might not know that. I mean, a lot of you do, but a lot of you don't. And so when you're practicing gratitude, and I suggest that become part of your daily life, to just say out loud the things you're grateful for, and you will lift your spirits immediately. You will be living at a higher vibration. You will attract higher vibrational occurrences into your life. And I know that sounds hippy-dippy and all that, but it's not. It's ancient wisdom, and it's often been suppressed. In this day and age, it's coming out, especially in the internet age, where people can communicate like I'm doing with you right now. Information is there. You just need to look for it. But again, don't forget the importance of health. And I say that because I spent the last 3 months, a month in a cast, and a month on crutches, even more. I'd say 2.5 months on crutches, and 2 months in a walking boot. And that whole time, I was aware of everybody around me just running around and walking down the street. And, my injury was serious, but it was not life-threatening. And it was a torn Achilles, which is a fairly big thing to happen mechanically, biomechanically. But it's not a disease. It's not permanent. So I'm not bitching and I'm not moaning. I'm just saying that if you get knocked aside from your traditional routine due to something, you might quickly see and appreciate the value of your physical health. And I say mental health because I have one of my lifelong best friends is struggling with Lyme's disease, and it comes and it goes. And when it comes on strong, he gets brain fog. And this guy's a genius, and yet he struggles to keep it all together during those times. And that's a whole other story. But when he comes out of, and I'm talking months, when he comes out of those episodes of it, it's like he's been reborn into paradise. So anyway, just keep that in mind. Practice gratitude. Okay, so you are Neo, although you might not know it. Okay, what is Neo? I assume most people know who that is and what that reference is, but you might not. And I'm referring to, I think this movie came out in 1999 called The Matrix. And in terms of somebody watching movies a number of times, like a specific movie, like people will watch The Godfather, something like that. Well, The Matrix was it for me. It's probably the movie that I've watched the most in my life because it absolutely resonated. Everything I had studied at that point in my life, this is 1999, mind you, so there was no YouTube and smartphones. You know, there was internet, but communication was old school. And for this movie to come out and speak in a futuristic sci-fi mode, but speaking ancient wisdom and timeless wisdom and universal wisdom, to me was astounding. And I felt so good that something that I believed in my whole life could be mainstream and there for the whole world to see. And anyway, Neo was essentially a person that he was unique and one of a few that was able to manifest the power of the universe at will, although he did not know it. He fought against the label that he was the so-called like chosen one, or the one that would lead humanity out of its enslavement by a rogue computer system that enslaved humans inside pods in an unconscious sleep state in order to use the electrical power that they generated from their bodies to power the computers. And the reason they did that was because when humankind realized that the robots and computers were taking over and that they were using the sun for power, they so-called scorched the sky in an attempt to reduce the solar availability to these computers. And the computers said, okay, so we're just going to put you all to sleep, and we're going to use your biomechanical or internal electrical power to power our computers. But I think the bodies would rebel against it, so the computers put everybody in a computer simulation, which is this world that we're in now. And the thing is that the people that were in it believed it was absolutely real. Okay, so the theory was there was the real humans. There was still a number of humans that weren't in the simulation. They were living around the core of the earth, and they would hack into the simulation in order to try to take down the computer system. But the computer system had these agents that would take human form, and they had all the power because they were products of the simulation. They were the software code that wrote it so they could write themselves code to be all powerful. So the humans, when they hacked into the simulation or into the Matrix, they were fairly powerless against them. They go up against them, they get their butts kicked. But they always had this belief that there was a human in the simulation that had the power to access the full power of the simulation, and he could lead humankind in a rebellion against the computers. And that was Neo. And they eventually found him, and he worked with the humans. But again, he fought it the whole way. He didn't believe it. He thought he was losing his mind when they told him that, you're living in a simulation world. And Neo would say, "But this isn't real." And they'd say, "Well, what is real?" Everything you taste, smell, see, feel, and hear are simply electrical vibrations interpreted by your mind as 3D imagery and conscious awareness. So anyway, I gave you that long intro because we don't know that. I'm not going to say we're in the Matrix, but we are in something, okay? And if you've read things going back to the beginning of time like I have, they all talk about it. The quantum physicists of today's world all talk about it. Many are beginning to believe we are in a simulation, and I know a lot of people will react to that like, bullshit, that's sci-fi madness or entertainment. But even the main religions of the world, Hindu, Buddhism, Roman Catholicism, Christianity, they all talk about it. There's all kinds of indication that information was suppressed, like the Council of Nicaea, the Roman Catholic Church. They took everything out of the Bible that alluded to our eternal power, and that you've heard the term as above, so below. But back then, there was not a big disconnect between humankind and the all-eternal unconscious mind or divine creator. So a lot of that was suppressed, and we go through what history tells us is the Dark Ages, and that's another video for another time, because I believe that our history right prior to the late 1800s up until now was something completely different. I actually personally believe that we were more evolved, we were more divine, and something happened and reset this and took out the previous society, which, by the way, there's evidence of it all over the world, all over the United States, other continents, countries. Another video. Anyway, here we are in this world, and even the people who are the most unawakened to that possibility or that concept, when people are angry, they might call them sheeple, but I just see, this world, of course, we're going to want to believe in it because we've been brought up our entire lives to believe in everything we see around us is it. And there's a set of rules that apply to all of us. And, it's us, humankind, 99% of us doing the best we can to be the best we can be. And to get by in this reality. And I wanted to add this before I forget, that when people try to do their best in this reality, many people fail. And it's my opinion, like you drive around and I live near Worcester, and I drive around, I see these pitiful sights of people like hunched over under the influence of some weird, whatever these modern drugs are that they're selling, and or just ghetto looking people, dangerous looking people. And it's easy to turn your nose up at them and say, losers. But you know what? I think that people that are in that position are often the most tortured souls there are, because we're brought up in this world, and most of us spot the phoniness of it at an early age, and yet to continue to progress in this requires determination. Often you've got to play the game. You've got to overlook the absolute madness and bullshit that goes on. And I think a lot of these people are raw souls, and they feel so much that they go off course at an early age. And look, I'm not trying to be like, if somebody hurt, say my granddaughters, that somebody I just described hurt one of my granddaughters or something, that's just what came to mind. I'd be the first to absolutely take out whoever did that. So, this isn't like, can't we all just get along? Groovy, man. This is something more eternal and deeper. Okay? So I just think that people that are in those positions were often just gut punched at an early age by circumstance, and their hearts are broken, and they're fearful as hell of this world, and they dive into escapism or shortcuts. And that was the original point I wanted to make, is before you judge people, and this goes for me too, when you see somebody doing something that you determine or you judge as a negative choice, and it is a choice with negative results, but primarily what people do is they always have good intentions for what they do. So you got that friend that gets absolutely blackout, shit-faced at social events, and guess what? It's because without it, they might feel that they're not part of something, that they aren't loved, that they don't value themselves, and the alcohol is a way to mask all that and make them feel part of the gang, So somebody like I just described in Worcester, I saw this girl walking through the gas station, and she was doing that, I don't know what's fentanyl or whatever it is out there these days, but you see these videos like LA, Detroit, and these people are like, instead of standing up, they're literally bent over at 90 or even more. Their head's almost down below their waist, and yet they're still standing up and they're unconscious. I don't know how they keep their balance. But I saw a girl like that coming through the parking lot, and she was doing that. She'd stop literally like all these, I'm in a gas station, so the gas pumps, and there she is, and she's slowly going on her way somewhere. So again, people do a lot of crazy stuff and denial, and they beat the hell out of themselves in order to actually intentionally feel something good. It's just a really, really brutal way to do it. All right, a more simple example. You go home and you sit down and you're just wolfing junk food in, fist after fist, and it's because you want to feel comfort. Like maybe like your life is you're insecure about something in your life, and there's your comfort. So there you go. So anyway, how is it that you are Neo? Well, every one of us was created by something, and I was saying this earlier, what is that something? Is this really a simulation? You could take that to any level. You could say God created this, and we're here experiencing this meat suit 3D physical reality with a divine soul that's here on a mission to learn something. It's still, it was created by something for us to be here. There's all kinds of theories. The thing I wanted to say about that, though, is that we're brought up, and our parents are usually, they're our first influences. So say the clock starts ticking, you're born, and almost immediately, like, you recognize the effect you have on your parents Like if even, as a newborn, and like you're like hungry all the time or whatever, uncomfortable, and all you know how to do is scream, and your parents are stressed to hell with no sleep, and even then you sense it. You know that's a negative feeling. You want things to be better, although you can't rationalize anything. But move forward. Now you understand your parents, the language you're speaking. You might not speak yet, but you understand things, and now you're aware of, you can see, you're aware of a world around you and the consequences of things. Maybe I remember my oldest son when he was first crawling around, and he went and grabbed the cat the wrong way, and the cat, and scratched him on his arm, and his eyes were like huge. Like, oh shit, what is this experience? Things like that. So you're making judgments like of your value right off the bat. And especially in those early years of 0 to 8, you are more in the unconscious world than you are in the conscious 3D world. You are still rawly connected to the source. And, you are slowly being programmed into this world. So, this so-called veil, most people don't remember previous lives. A number of studied cases, people do. I mean, down to the details, and there's no way they could have known it. But anyway, side note, where we connect to the universal when we're asleep, in those years, you're connected all the time. And that's why, like my youngest son, as an example, a couple houses ago, we lived in a house that the two girls that sold it to us, their grandfather had built it, and he was this old guy. So now we live in the house, and I had an office down in the basement, and I used to bring my youngest son down there with me, and he'd hang out. He was like 1, maybe less, so I'd carry him down over my shoulder, and he'd be looking behind me. And we'd get downstairs in the furnace area, and he'd say, "Oh, hi, old guy." And he would start talking to the old guy, and I just let him talk to him because it wasn't a ominous or negative present. It was light and joyful. And I had done enough studying of that stuff, including my past and specifically my mother's and her mother's past, to know about these things. And he would talk to the old guy, "Hi," and he'd listen, and he'd respond, and they'd have their own conversation. I literally would be sitting at my desk just doing my work. So anyway, there's a personal example of you're connected to the unseen realm, and I think he was able to see the spirit of this guy that built the house. And I think that guy, it was a feeling when I was there. I felt like this guy enjoyed seeing the baby in the house, in his house that he built. So anyway, there you are, and you're coming along, and your parents are looking at you and responding to the things you do, and you quickly begin to realize that you have to play the game the right way. You're going to disappoint them. They might yell at you or take something away from you or say something negative to you, and it's deep. I mean, because you are a raw, open spirit, so you feel that stuff. It's fast-tracked to your soul, so you're making judgments about being in this world. You're trying to be the best you can in this world right off the bat. And your poor parents, they're often just kids themselves trying to figure their shit out. And so you're kind of getting secondhand effects of the lessons they're learning. So there's that. And then, now you're in kindergarten or kids in your neighborhood. You're starting to be around kids and socialize. now you're like 5 years old, and kids have their own value judgments, and they think that maybe, like some kids think they're better than others. All of them are trying to figure out how to be in this world. And they say, kids are cruel. Well, they are, but it's unintentional. Everybody's responding. I don't know how, I'm sure a ton of you can remember something in those early days where somebody said something to you that hurt like a MFer, and you still feel it to this day. And I'll tell you, I did that to someone in elementary school. I just moved to the United States, and this girl, I'm still friends with her, and I compared her during recess. I compared her head to the head of another animal. I'm not going to say who it was because she might watch this video, but if she does, she'll probably know it's her. And I saw her at, I think it was like 10 or 15 year high school reunion, and she came up and she said, "Hey, remember that time in recess where you said that to me?" And I was like, "Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. I was just your typical young asshole." And she goes, "No, I get it, and we're still friends." But that's just an example, because I've been the victim of that kind of stuff as well. So there you go. So now, you've moved through those years, and then you're out of those programming years, but now you're in the socialization age from, say, like 8 to 18 or 8 to 15, something like that. I think there's a study on it, but now, you're placing yourself in some sort of social category. And, most schools in those years, there are stratifications of value of different kinds of kids. Like, the classic ones you hear about, like the jocks, the brainiacs, the rich kids, the druggies, the nerds, the skateboard kids. It's just like there's all these kind of things, and people say, "Oh, it's so stupid," but it's inevitable that that's going to happen as you grow up. And it's not that always that way, but it is kind of universally. So now you're coming out of school, and all you want to do is fit in. And it's funny, like even the kids that you would say are at the top of the pecking order, and many of my friends were that, and you realize that when they become adults, they tell you the stuff they were struggling with, and then you realize everybody is trying to figure out their place in this world and their value, and what can they do to be accepted. Because here's the thing, by the time you're out of high school and you're going off to college to choose a career at age 18, all you want to do is be part of the society. Your parents have been telling you all along, be a good student, act appropriately, be clean and neat, do activities that have social value. Here are all the things you should fear every moment of every single day, and you've got to do these things, or you're going to end up in one of those categories where those fears will be absolutely manifested into your life. So, there you are. Now, now you go and you get your career, and you're in the corporate world, and it's like, you better do things according to the way the shot callers tell you, or you're going to be a rebel. And, rebels upset the apple cart. We don't need that stuff here. So you see all this madness around you, and you better shut STFU, So there you are. So how the hell do you reprogram? Well, you do. Because when all of a sudden you're awakened to the fact that you are a creator, that we are all creators, that this is just a game, some sort of simulation we're in, then you start to have control over the conscious world. And I want to tell you, this is how it works. Think about when you think about yourself and you see yourself in that mental image, or you feel or hear your voice doing something, okay? Somebody is observing that, and it's you. So there's a higher level of you observing you in this conscious world, okay? So most people don't even realize that there is the silent, neutral creator and observer of your soul moving through this world and your physical being moving through this world, okay? So you constantly are playing the game, because guess what? It's very easy to imagine that you're kicked out of your career, which can happen to anybody. I mean, the world is the way it is. Right or wrong, it happens to the best. But, you know, most people think, hey man, if I screw this up, if I don't play the game, I don't say the right things, look the right way, follow the program, I'm going to be kicked out, and I might be homeless, I might lose my family, and I'll be one of those Worcester people I was talking about in short order. It's a legitimate fear, and the shot callers of this world keep you in this fear through the media, through the legacy media. It's just reinforced. Do as you're told, or be kicked out of the tribe. So, how do you make deeper choices than fear-based choices? Well, you start by realizing that you don't have to feel that fear. You may have to physically perform in this world and create results. That's okay. But what about how your deepest being feels about that? And then how does that translate into your self-identity and what you attract into your life, and how your emotional states are in those specific moments from now until the day your body shuts off and your soul goes back out to the universe. So there's a lot to gain by realizing this, and there's a lot to gain by having a newer perspective and a greater understanding of your creative abilities, because this is where you're going to be Neo. And like in the movie, when the agents shot all the bullets at him, at first he was like dodging and weaving, and the other people were amazed, like, how do you do that? And he's like, I don't know. But then as he understood that he was Neo, that he carried and was able to manifest the source of the simulation. He had complete control of his physical reality. The bullets would come, he could just stop them and pick them out of the air, and they just drop to the ground. And I'm not saying that you're going to stop a bullet, but you can stop emotional bullets, and you can stop conscious mind or 3D world bullets in other forms by being aware, by realizing you're Neo. So when I said that you observe yourself from a distance, it's the starting point, because often in those moments you'll feel something, and you'll start to think, you'll remember that horrible feeling, and it'll make you cringe, like you're pulling your stomach, or your shoulders elevate up, and or your neck gets tight in the back, or your heart hurts, or you get like brain fog. There's a bunch of symptoms of it. Your back gets tight, whatever, stomach hurts. Okay, literally feel that. Let it play through. Do not try to change it. Instead, this is key. Do not try to change it. Try to evolve from it. Remember that whatever that thing is that happened, that's you. It is of utmost importance in beauty that is your soul. And those emotions are you feeling something that happened in your incredible life. So you don't try to like carve your past out of your body. Instead, embrace it. And I don't want to sound too hippy-dippy again, but love it because it's you and you're divine. And when you do that, you don't judge it, you just see it. And for me, I literally see things almost like a TV screen, and it's down lower. It's like, it's where my stomach is and it's in front. I also hear my inner voice there, gut instinct. It's just below my heart. So I think emotions, that's where your emotions are generated. Your brain's more of a tool. Your heart's really where your soul is, in my opinion. And your stomach is like a warning device, or it's like a pulse. When it glows and pulses, you feel it more. So anyway, for me, that's where I see it. And I literally will press pause on the image, and I won't judge it. I go, I remember that. I will walk around it, look at it peacefully, lovingly. And what that does is it disconnects the power that you assigned it back when it happened. And now you're neutral, okay? Now, excuse me, as I burp on the video, you are the creator once again, where you might have been the creator at age 7 in second grade in this painful memory. Now, you're whatever age you are, and you're like, holy shit, I create something here. And I personally, I have, and then I'll do this in another video, I have an ideal image of my life, of myself, and it's not doing anything. It's just a snapshot of the ideal me, almost like if I had a picture on the wall of my ideal moment in time, and I look at it, and what that does is it helps me remove any fear I have that I can ever program into the ideal image of myself. Now, these goals, these things you set right then and there, they have to be smart. Again, another video, but they have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So when I'm looking at that image, I'm not going to see myself as 7'2" starting center for the Celtics. I'd love it, ideally, that'd be amazing, but that's not realistic, okay? So, I just wanted to say that before you start picturing yourself, if you're a woman, as Taylor, you could be a guy as Taylor Swift singing in front of Gillette Stadium, and yet you can't carry a tune at all. So anyway, but back to the programming. What you could do is you can reprogram your self-identity. You can reprogram your emotional states. And so now, when that memory comes back, it flows through you as something that's completely reprogrammed. You're at a higher state of vibration, higher state of being. You will absolutely attract those things into your life. Again, that's where miracles occur. But remember this, you're a miracle. I'm trying to think. I saw an episode of White Lotus, the season when they were in Thailand, and this corporate guy went to a monk in Thailand, and he said something about, what is death? And the monk said, so picture you're part of the ocean or a pond or whatever, some body of water, and something happens in this droplet of water comes up in the sky, and that droplet of water is you experiencing everything, and then it drops back down into the body of water, and it just melts back into it. It becomes part of the whole. And I remember, the guy in the episode was so relieved by that, but so was I, because you're at home, whether you're on this so-called earth journey in the appearance of an individual unit of life, you're still connected, and that, your loved ones, friends, you're absolutely connected, and there's a bigger body of life than just you. The meat suit gives you this 3D perspective in this planet, but we're all aware of bigger things than that. So anyway, with that lesson on the ability to create and reprogram to become Neo, this means you, does mean you. And just start by practicing it. It's consistence and patience. When I started going to this gym in Framingham called Impact, and it was a new way of training for me, and there was some things that just habits I had, like body habits, and my coach would say, patience and consistency. Just have patience, don't worry, just let it go. And over time, sure enough, reprogrammed. Anytime I felt anxiety, I would use the silent and neutral observer of my thought and feeling from a distance. And then I would consciously reprogram my self-identity and emotional state. Okay? Let me think for a second. Well, if it comes to me, there's a guy I watch a bunch of videos. His last name is Johir, Johir. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his first name. Quasi Johir. Okay? Young guy, but the stuff I just talked about, he has some incredible videos on it. So check his website out. It's phenomenal. Okay? So anyway, I hope that gets you started on your journey to create the emotional states, the life you want. Just start doing it time after time, like Cyndi Lauper. And from this moment, look, you can be half my age, and guess what? Now's the time to learn it if you're half my age and you're just starting out, because you could program an amazing life. Okay, now double your age. Now, you're deeper into life. You're a grandparent. I'm a grandfather. And is it too late? Hell no. In fact, you've got all this wisdom and experience and know-how. If you could start reprogramming yourself, and let's say, like some people that are retired, you are literally walking examples. You're walking Buddhas to go around the world and share this stuff with, okay? And the world needs to hear this stuff. It needs people like you. It needs to tell people that F the game. The game was created by others. You might have to accept it and do it just in your daily routine. But guess what? If we start piecing this thing together, 7-8 billion of us, one step at a time, eventually we collectively reprogram. Then we're not going through all this political crap that all of us hate. Doesn't matter what side you're on. We don't go through this potential World War III. We don't go through privately owned central banks controlling our every moment through compound interest. We don't go through lies about our past, suppression of technologies that will stifle the actual highest level of living possible for individuals and humanity. Okay? There is something out there that doesn't want that. We all know it. And we all fall victim to being trained by it our whole lives. Okay? Our parents did too, so don't be pissed off at them. It's not their fault. And nobody's gonna, there's that supposed alien craft that the Harvard scientist says it's coming here to attack us. Look, I've watched a ton of videos about a galactic enterprise. God, I would love it if there was one of those and they showed up and said, hey, why don't you guys join us? But let's say that's not going to happen. Who the hell is going to stop the so-called elites, the so-called parasite class, some people call the demon class, from keeping this shit the way it is? It's up to us, okay? So let's start practicing this stuff. One by one by one by one. Don't be afraid to speak it, right? And choose wisely where and who you say this stuff to. Like, let's say you're at work and for 6 hours you're just talking to your coworkers and get nothing done. You're talking this stuff and you're on somebody's dime. Don't do it then. On social media, someone's screaming about a political candidate, or there is a COVID, or it's a conspiracy, and then people are typing in capitals. Look, those people are never going to listen to you, ever, ever, ever. It's impossible. Instead, just speak your truth quietly and kindly to the world, and the people that are ready will lock arms with you. It happens. Trust me, it happens. Okay, I think I've said enough. Hell, 45 minutes in. I love you all. Peace and love. Let's change this thing. Take care. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped. And again, mindshiftingacademy.com. That's my website. You can go there and you can subscribe. And I also post my videos there. They're also on YouTube. They're on Instagram Reels. They're on my Mind Shifting Academy group page on Facebook. I will start to reach out to other platforms. So, I'll let you know as that goes. But right now, that's where you can find me. Coaching sessions. So, as you know, I've been hurt for 3 months now. I'm on the road to recovery. I think that I will be teaching group classes again in Inferno Hot Pilates this fall. And ironically, or sadly, when I got hurt, I was just about to start teaching at two different studios I hadn't taught at before, one in Fitchburg, one in Framingham. So a lot of my friends in the Framingham area, I'll let you know, you guys can come down and try my class and get healthy and better quality of daily existence. So I still offer coaching sessions. If you want to be coached one-on-one on fitness, and by the way, I recently passed my NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, certified personal trainer certification. So I have a ton of experience, but now I have more of the present-day fitness knowledge and science to help you with. So if you want to have one-on-one fitness coaching, whether I come and, to where you live, I could do it there, or you just want to talk it through and I could give you the exercises. We can make that work. Again, I'll be back in a couple months, probably ready to go in person in the group classes. But hey, you know what? You might want to do a one-on-one class because you're not ready for a group and you're intimidated by the process. Maybe you've never worked out before, but you want to make the quality of your life better and the duration of your life longer, but higher quality. Reach out to me. You guys have my contact, whether on social media, Facebook, Instagram, phone number, text me. My website, you can book a free discovery session, which we can talk it through, and you can find out what's for you. What else? You can also, if you're an existing student, as you know, you can just go book sessions on that. So anyway, I'm here for you. It doesn't have to be fitness. It can be nutrition and general nutrition, although I have coaches that I may end up referring you to them because they have more education than I do in it. But I'm pretty good, though. I do know what I'm talking about, but I know others that I learned from. And then in terms of just personal development, the many areas of life that you're experiencing, you want to get somewhere with that, you don't know how to do it. One of my strengths is, because of my experience through life and the time I put in, and I've always been an adventurer, so I've tried everything, and so I have a deep well of experience to share with you and perspective on it, and I can get you organized in your mindset, which will get you new results, and your daily game plan, and also importantly why it matters. So you'll have a why to go along with your goals. And I'm just slowing down talking here, making sure I don't hit those people. They were in the breakdown lane, but really close to this lane. But anyway, I appreciate that you listened to all this. Stay tuned for further topics. Again, we focus on personal development. You, me, all of us. We also focus on global development and transformation. All right? Peace and love. Take care.